Thanks for dropping by to watch this ATTAIN Lab video on how to change the page setup for a section in your Microsoft Word 2016 document. Please check out the description under this video where you'll find 2 document downloads. First, for your reference, we've placed a link that will take you to the Microsoft website, to the Microsoft Office Specialist Word 2016 Skills Measured document. This file lists all of the skills you should master before attempting the MOS certification exam in Word. One of those skills could be changing the page setup options for a section of a document. The second document you'll see is called Lorem, and it's 10 pages of Latin placeholder text that we'll use to demonstrate today. Feel free to download this document if you'd like to follow along. Before we begin, I need to mention document breaks. Breaks help control how we set up different sections in a document. If you're unfamiliar with page breaks, section breaks, and column breaks, you'll want to pause this video and click on the video linked in the upper right-hand corner now. Then, return to this video when you have an understanding of what breaks are and how to find them. Now that you're feeling more comfortable about breaks, let's talk about the types of questions you may encounter on a practice exam. You may be asked to change the orientation of certain pages of the document without changing them all, or change the margin size for a certain paragraph, or even change a section of text into columns. And all of these features happen through the use of breaks. Let's address that first skill, where you could be asked to turn a page to landscape orientation, but leave the rest as portrait. If I select all the text, I'm hitting Control A, and you can see this is 10 pages of just random placeholder text. I've selected all the text, and from the Layout tab, I can change the orientation of these pages to landscape. And notice how they've all changed to landscape. With the text deselected, if my cursor is blinking here at the top of page 1 and I turn the orientation, only page 1 turns. And I'll undo that. And if I'm over here on page 3, for example, and I turn it, all the pages except for page 1 turned. So what's happening here? Let me explain. I've changed my view to 100%, and I've navigated over to the Home tab. And I want you to turn on your formatting and paragraph marks. That's the Show Hide button that looks like a backward P, right in the center of the Home tab. And when you turn on the paragraph marks, it'll turn a darker shade of gray, and you can now see some programming marks in our document that are very important. So I scroll down slightly here on page 1, and you can see there's a section break here at the end of the second paragraph, and there's a second section break here at the end of the 4th paragraph. And you cannot see those section breaks without your paragraph marks on. So I'll turn them off and on. So there they are. And these section breaks are what's controlling the way our document reacts when we turn the page orientation. I've color-coded some text on our document to help you see more clearly what's happening. The first 2 paragraphs are red, and then there's a continuous section break. The 3rd and 4th paragraphs I've made green, and here where my cursor is moving is another continuous section break. The rest of the document remains black, and there are no other breaks in this document. Essentially, I've divided this document into 3 sections: red, green, and black. You could think of it as section 1, 2, and 3, or if it was a novel, perhaps, chapters 1, 2, and 3. I've now turned off the paragraph marks so you can no longer see the breaks. They're still there and still doing their job, we just can't see them on the screen. With your cursor blinking anywhere in the red section, from the Layout tab, if I change the orientation of the page to landscape, you can see only the red section, section 1, turned landscape. The rest of the document stayed portrait oriented. I'll hit undo. Similarly, if I scroll down a little and put my cursor anywhere in the green text and turn the orientation, notice how only the green text becomes a landscape-oriented page. Page 1 is portrait with the red text, and the rest of the document stayed portrait with the black. I hit undo, and here I'll put my cursor in the black area, and when I change the page orientation, notice page 1 stayed portrait, but everything else turned landscape. So what's happening is Word is using those breaks to determine what you want to do. If you want the red paragraphs to be turned only, put your cursor in the red. If you want the green to be turned only, put your cursor in the green. If you want the black to be turned, put it in the black. But what if you wanted the red and green to turn landscape and everything else to stay portrait? The answer is simple. Select both sections. Then change the orientation. So if your cursor is blinking somewhere, it will change just that section. If you have text selected, it will change all of the text that you have selected. I'll turn my paragraph marks back on, and you can see I've deleted the breaks at the end of the red section and the green section. And I did this because I want to make it very clear to you that the breaks were what was controlling the different sections and how they would rotate the page, not the color of the text. So the red text, by virtue of being red, does not make this a section. It was the section break that was there. When I turn the page now, all the pages are going to turn, regardless of the color of the section, because there's no section break to stop that from turning. For the next demonstration, I've changed up the coloring on the text. I've returned all the text to black except for the second paragraph, which is shown here in red. I want to make the second paragraph on the page into 2 columns. I want to leave the rest of the text as one wide column. To do that, I'll select the red text, and on the Layout tab, I'll choose 2 columns. And this is important to see because with our paragraph marks on, we can see that Word has put in 2 continuous section breaks for us, one at the beginning of the section and one at the end. And so Word uses these section breaks to understand how you want the text to act on the page. So this black paragraph is reading along at 1 wide paragraph, 1 wide column, and as soon as we hit this paragraph marker, there's a section break. And then from that point forward, Word treats your text as 2 columns and continues until it hits the next section break, where it returns to 1 wide column. So if you select text that exists on the page and turn it into multiple columns like that, Word will put in the beginning and ending section breaks for you. Unfortunately, Word doesn't always put in the section breaks for you. If this red paragraph was something very important that I wanted to stand out with a bit of a wider margin on the right and left side, I could select it and change the margins to wide, but that changes the whole document. Word does not put in those breaks for me. I'll hit undo, and it's a very easy solution. Right at the beginning of the paragraph, we can insert a continuous section break. I'm on the Layout tab, Breaks button, Continuous Section Break, and put another at the end. Now, with my cursor in the red paragraph, I can change the margins of just that section to wide. You may be wondering when you would need to change the page setup options for the section of a document. Here are a few practical examples to demonstrate this useful feature. Our first example is an imaginary company newsletter. It's 3 pages long, and I have my paragraph markers on here so that you can see the breaks, where they occur, and determine what they're doing. Article number 1 is just wide, normal text on the page, 1 column wide. Article number 2, I wanted to be formatted in 2 columns. So notice after the words article number 2, there is the section break that begins that section, and from that point forward, it becomes 2 columns with a line in the middle. At the end of the second column, you'll see the closing section break that ends that section. On page 2, article number 3 is 1 section. The text for that article is formatted in 1 column. I did adjust the margins, however, to make the right margin wider, and that allows the graphic to flow around the edge of the page. For article number 4, I formatted the margins in the opposite way. I made the left margin wider to allow space for the businessman graphic. Article number 5, I wanted to return to the 2-column layout for visual interest. At the end of the second column from Article 5, you'll see the closing section break. And that allows the important quote to be centered at the bottom of page 3. Feel free to rewind this video to review the screen with the paragraph marks on. Can you identify how many sections are in this document? There are actually 8 sections in this document. Another example would be this restaurant's lunch menu. Take a closer look. Pause the video if you must. Can you figure out how many sections are in this menu? I'll show you in just a moment. Technically, there are 6 sections in this restaurant menu. Comparing the 2 documents side by side with the paragraph markers on might help you understand. The first section contains the words restaurant menu and appetizers. The section under appetizers is formatted into 3 columns. The section under that, the word sandwiches, is its own section formatted in 1 wide column. The list of sandwiches is its own section formatted in 2 columns. The word salads by itself is its own section formatted in 1 wide column. And finally, the list of salads available that day is formatted in 2 columns. Let's briefly review what we've learned today. Documents can be sectioned off, and those sections of the documents can be formatted differently from one another. It's a very useful capability as demonstrated in the 2 practical examples. Some page setup options that can be formatted within a section include margins, column formatting, page orientation, and some advanced page numbering options as well. Creating sections requires the use of breaks. You may need to manually insert section breaks. When creating columns from existing text, Word adds the beginning and ending section breaks for you. You can view the breaks within your document by turning on the paragraph and formatting marks using the Show Hide button on the Home tab. You can see that using sections and formatting sections differently is a useful skill within Word. We hope you found this video useful, and with a little practice, you'll soon be formatting sections in your documents. To view more videos like this, visit our channel and check out our playlists where we have training content for Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Access 2016. Visit the website shown here or call the numbers on the screen to learn more about the Capital District Educational Opportunity Center ATTAIN Computer Labs.